If you've done any cold weather camping, you've probably looked into diesel heaters, but what most people don't realize is that nearly all of them share one massive flaw. A flaw that manufacturers deliberately hide in their ads. They show you this perfect little box looking all neat and tidy, but what they don't show you is what happens when you actually try to use it. The moment you attach the exhaust and intake hoses to the bottom, it becomes a massive fire hazard. It's the dirty little secret of almost every cheap diesel heater on the market. Well, this little unit right here has finally fixed it. The ports are on the side where they always should have been. So the secret's out, but in fixing that one massive flaw, did they accidentally create a brand new, potentially even more dangerous one? Well, today we're gonna find out, and then I'll show you how I keep mine safe on the road. Before we get into it, I really wanna show you why this side exhaust design is such a big deal. So let me grab my old, trusty, but frustrating diesel heater. This exhaust is almost completely resting on the surface. You can't use this as is. So to make this system work, you have to carry a stand or some bricks or find the perfect spot. It's a whole process, it works, but it's a clumsy, unstable solution that always feels like a temporary fix. And that's the exact problem that this new heater tries to solve. This is how it should be done. Find a flat surface, set it down, and done. And this part of the design is an absolute 10 of 10. Another thing I noticed right away is this integrated toolbox design. Everything packs away neatly inside the casing. It comes with an AC to DC adapter, meaning it has multi-power compatibility right out of the box. You can run it off of a standard 110 volt wall outlet or your vehicle's 12 volt system or even 24 volt system without buying anything extra. But, and I knew this was coming, there are always trade-offs. The engineers fixed this exhaust and the storage and the power options, but they completely overlooked the physical stability, and that creates two huge problems. Problem number one is this ridiculously top-heavy design. All the weight is up here. A kid, a dog, or you just stumbling around in the dark could send this thing crashing down. Now, to be fair, the internal electronics are well protected with advanced systems for overheating and short circuit prevention, but none of that matters if the entire hot machine tips over onto your gear. And the second problem is the potential for fuel spillage. This is a huge issue, not just at the campsite, but in transit. I can just see this thing falling over on a bumpy road and creating a smelly, flammable, awful mess. And for me, that's another massive design flaw. But of course, I'm not just gonna leave it there. The side exhaust and all the other features are such a good idea that I hate to see them ruined by a wobbly base. My solution is simple. I'm never gonna trust it to the stand on its own. I'm just gonna use a simple ratchet strap to secure it to something solid. Another massive improvement that I didn't know about until I was just about to start testing with this unit is they increased the output port diameter from this 3-inch diameter to 4 inches. This is a massive improvement because this one with the 3-inch diameter, if I ran these extended hoses, occasionally it could cause the system to overheat on its highest output settings. Most of the folks who have experienced the problem with that overheating out in the wild say that the 4-inch diameter is the ideal size for these diesel heaters. I specifically chose a very small power station just to show to you that this does not pull a whole lot of power. The Hcalory came with a very nice little remote that is also USB-C rechargeable. Although it has a power button on the side here, there is one on this side that allows you to turn it on. The display clearly shows that I'm getting 13 volts out of my power station's 110 volt outlet. And while we're on this side of the diesel heater, I wanted to tell you that this is the fresh air intake for the air that is going to go into your heated compartment. And this is the fresh air intake for your combustion process. Now, I do want to start this up for the first time, and one thing that's going to happen as I start it up is the fuel pump, which is extremely quiet. If that's the fuel pump, it's quieter than any of the diesel heaters that I've ever tested before. And as this continues to prime, I'm going to go ahead and just temporarily install this exhaust hose. That way I have, let me make sure it fits. That way I have the exhaust routed away from my work area where I'm working right now. When I first started up, it was completely empty, so we were pumping air, making it a little louder. but now that we have fuel in the pump, that fuel itself is helping to isolate the sound just a little more. I can very faintly hear the tick, 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 but it is nothing compared to other diesel heaters that I've tested in the past. And I got so excited about the low volume of the fuel pump that I almost forgot to show you exactly how much power this thing pulls when it's in its maximum operating mode. I missed the startup wattage, which would probably be close to 150, if not 200 watts. But for a maximum output at 60 watts, that is quite impressive. And there it is, folks. Those glow plugs are starting to heat up. It's pulling 170 watts currently with the glow plugs. Once those do get warmed up and ignition occurs, this will go back down to a lower output setting. All right, so we're cranking, we're burning. Our power has gone down to about 20 watts. The baffle here, now this could be my fault because I cut this short because I didn't want it really long. The baffle was making a little bit of extra noise as it started the injection process. This diesel exhaust is starting to clear up a little bit, but this is something you also want to keep in mind if you're going to use one of these cheap diesel heaters, is when you first ignite it, no matter what, there's going to be quite a bit of exhaust fumes. This is a combustion process with diesel fuel. So as this starts to gain efficiency as it warms up, that exhaust should eventually get clear, but ultimately it is always a breathing hazard. Right now I'm fortunate it's blowing away from me, but another thing you want to keep in mind is as this thing starts to work, you've got your exhaust. So this is your toxic, poisonous exhaust, and then this is the output that you want to go into your, in my case, a small vehicle camper. You want to make sure that these two streams never mix, ever. Let's talk a little bit about the app. It's actually not that bad. I have 10 different power options. I can set multiple timer groups, and I can schedule it to automatically start and stop to maintain a specific temperature. These are all features for your more fixed setups. Maybe you have a shed or a garage you want to run your diesel heater out of. That would be perfect. And one feature that you're going to love if you're into mountain camping, perhaps you're out there in Colorado, is this has automatic altitude compensation up to 5,500 meters. And it even has real-time altitude display on the panel. No more messing with your settings when you change elevation. We've achieved full operating temperature. The exhaust looks crystal clear at this point, but keep in mind, it is still toxic. The reason that I'm happy that the exhaust is clear, that means that this thing is burning as efficiently as possible. Something I really want to emphasize here is I am getting zero fuel pump noise. I expected to hear that tick, 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 but all I can hear right now is essentially the howling and the whistling of the air, which if you're moving air, you're going to get noise. What I want to do now is go ahead and push the power setting all the way to its lowest setting, which is a 3, and you can just barely hear that fuel pump ticking. It actually is reminiscent of one of those old analog wristwatches. But what I wanted to show you here is I'm pulling a pretty stable 13 watts. It does fluctuate between 10 and 13, but it shows me that I have about 5 hours remaining, even with only 49% of the super tiny battery. The biggest headline for this new Hcalory diesel heater is its power and efficiency. This is an 8 kilowatt hour heater, putting out over 27,000 BTUs. So it has some serious power. But thanks to a newly designed combustion chamber, they've improved fuel efficiency by a claimed 36%. It also has an extra large 6-liter fuel tank, and with those efficiencies combined, it can run continuously for up to 50 hours on a single tank. You can fill this up once and have enough heat for 5 full nights of camping without touching it on its lowest setting. And before I share my final verdict, I want to thank Hcalory for setting this unit for my review. They have no control over what I've said in the video, they just wanted a fair assessment of its quality. So with that out of the way, my final verdict on this new diesel heater is a little complicated. Out of the box with that unstable top-heavy design, I cannot recommend it for portable use. The tipping and spilling risks are just too high. It's a flawed product. However, the technology inside this Flaw box is phenomenal. The smart app control, the all-terrain adaptability, the genuinely quiet operation, the precise temperature control, and that incredible efficiency and runtime are massive leaps forward. If it wasn't for the tipping hazard, then this is the most feature-packed, powerful, and convenient portable diesel heater I've ever used. Now, if you're willing to take the extra 30 seconds to secure this with a strap every time you set it up, then yes, I think this is an absolute game changer. It's a case of flawed genius that just needs a little extra caution to be made safe. So I want to be perfectly clear. I've been harsh on the physical design, and for good reason. It's a real problem that I want you to consider with portable diesel heaters in general. But that being said, I need to stress this one point. As of right now, in late 2025, this is still the best all-in-one portable diesel heater you can buy, period. You just have to be smart enough to secure it. I am curious to hear what you all think. Is it ridiculous that we have to deal with such a simple design flaw on a brand new product, or are those advanced features worth it? Let me know in the comments. And just a note, while it has great internal safety features, the model with the wireless remote that includes a carbon monoxide alarm is sold separately. As I prepare to close out this very short test, I did turn off the diesel heater from this power button. You never want to just turn off power, for example, turn off my power station, because this will leave unburnt or combusted fuel inside of the fuel chamber. That's going to cause this thing to eventually get gunked up inside, and that's something you never want to deal with when you're out on your camping adventures. If you got some value out of this quick review and potential safety fix for these diesel heaters, hit that thumbs up button and get subscribed to Adventure Gear TV for more honest gear reviews and minivan camping adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the road.